and every single time he was actually playing Senna, which is really bizarre. Now, I'm wondering if he's brought in to actually pick Senna, because we haven't seen her.
Haven't seen her in any position so far today, which I think is interesting.
See if we get some sort of a combo with Senna in the bot lane that could end up maybe being deemed as important. Damwon, they're going to ban the Rek'Sai, T1 banning Lucian and Mordekaiser.
Yep, pretty understandable. Damwon probably going to go for the Elise next, unless they have to ban the Akali round 2. But Akali or Elise should be coming in here if they're sticking to the script that they wrote for themselves. And there it is.
Elise.
And it looks like we've got a lot of handshaking when it comes to the 80 carry picks as well, because these teams really are set in their bans. I like Talia. I like Talia in against Canyon because he's just so damn good at that champion. Really gives Damwon 3 carries rather than the 2 that they normally have, sort of as a team, utilizing Showmaker and Nogari, so almost exclusively. So not going to have that option, as the final ban will be the Akali, so exactly the same, I believe, as Game 1.
Okay, they're still saying...
Oh, actually, no. So, the slight change-up from Game 1, both of these teams switching back to, of course, our Game 1 sides of the Rift, is that this time Mordekaiser is banned.
Is Vlad going to come out? Maybe. So, there's a few set counters. Kled, Fiora.
Yep.
Some people consider Vladimir to be one of the set counters as well.
I guess he could just be frustrating. Have that range advantage and be able to pull a lot of his combos.
Yeah, there's some other mages that you can just take up into the top lane against him as well. But instead, we're going to R1 Aphelios, R2 Lee Sin. Now we'll see how T1 ends up responding. Now remember, they have the set, which he has a forced engage, a part of his kit. Will we just get the Gragas? Okay, well...
I like it. I mean, Cuz has just been so good on Gragas. I actually don't mind it in any composition. We spoke about this on the podcast. He's got so many different modes. Cuz, in fact, showing that he was able to demonstrate that really beautifully in Game 2.
Well, we're getting a repeat of their Game number 1 draft.
I was about to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but they lost Game 1. So...
Now, the only thing different is that Mordekaiser is not going to end up being here for Damwon. And instead, they're hovering Thresh, so it's not going to be any Aphelios Senna type of shenanigan bot lane.
Yep, that is going to be a lot of CC availability down there. We'll see whether T1 just goes back to the Leona or whether Damwon actually deem it viable to ban that one out, because Effort has been sitting on that champ for the majority of the time here. This first game.
Supports out, I think, almost certainly.
Well,
at this
you're
point.
Certainly correct when it comes to the first one, as Nort hits the bench.
And then Damwon, it's actually really hard to pinch. I mean, T1, it's actually pretty hard to pinch. Maybe they'll continue to try to ban away their theorized set counters, like Aatrox or something of that nature. Instead, actually, gonna be the Syndra banned away.
Yep, this is what they failed to ban in this game in comparison to the first game, so just gonna get rid of it. Make sure that Damwon can't just pick up the Syndra and threaten it sort of as a very comfortable blind. Faker just not wanting to deal with it. LeBlanc taken away. Understandable. Because Faker hard carried on it when he shouldn't have been able to. Much is Faker's want to do. Now the final ban being looked for here for T1. Will it be the Renekton to try and alleviate some of Roach's issues potentially on the top side, or whether it'll be something else instead?
It's going to end up being, it's going to end up being the Rise. So on R4 here, if you can actually pick a champion that can go into both lanes, that's going to be the most ideal. So a mid-top flex champion of some sort would be really good, but we'll see what Damwon want to end up doing. Or you could just pick your top laner because you know that going up against Set. Okay, so it's not a set counter in lane, it's a set counter in theme. So the longer that the game goes, Kayle will eventually invalidate Set almost as a champion. Once she does obviously get access to her range form, then she does actually start bullying him inside of the lane. Kale still is Snail, however, so we're probably going to be in for a long one. I wouldn't be surprised if Damwon pair this with yet another scaling champion.
What is going... the potential scaling picks... Oh, that is mid lane Tristana.
Or
top lane.
Yeah.
And then mid lane Set would be coming. Interesting. The multi-flex solo lane Tristana or Misfortune, theoretically.
This is definitely a peculiar spot here. Cassiopeia, I talked about this in game number 1. Lots of low-range champions on the side of T1 that have to be close quarter combat, but instead they're actually going to shuffle over to Orianna. And champions like Orianna, Azir, Zoe, things of those nature, they've been coming back into the meta because everything that was good keeps getting hit.
Yep.
And in 10.3, things that are good get hit again. And so when this keeps happening, generally the champions that they themselves suck too, but their kit is really good.
It's the meta checkers, right? Like Victor,
the meta
Orianna,
yeah,
those sort of things.
That's a really good term. Yeah. That's basically what those champions are. They're in the grave, and then once in a blue moon, the meta just sort of gets nerfed to a point where they're like, it's my time again.
Yeah, my time to shine. Get me back in there. Well,
it's like Pennywise or something.
Well, Orianna is back there, this time for Showmaker, and Damwon showing that once again they do have a lot of scaling availability on their squad. They weren't even able to utilize it in Game 2, but it did work out in Game number 1. T1 now with a very interesting composition that they put together for themselves, but certainly a lot of mobility from the jungle mid position, and can be catching out this Damwon squad pretty comfortably. So let's see whether they'll be able to, and see whether Faker keeps the fire alive in his boots that he had in game number 2 with that hard carry LeBlanc performance.
Basically, this game is going to be the motto once again for Damwon. They're the ones with the better scaling. They're the ones that need to just be patient and not try to into the opponent. And if they can do that, they've set themselves up again with yet another draft win.
Let's not int. That's going to be the strategy here as we're in to game 3. T1 wanting to wrap it up and take away a first victory here in the LCK for 2020. A lot of the fans had some doubts about this roster, and a win here would certainly help silence some of those. As we got a level 1 planned. Effort thinking about getting a hook available and has already skilled it, but not going to find any cheeky Lee Sins. Just going to get some deep vision to make sure that they know exactly where Canyon is going to be starting. Mirrored wards here for Damwon on the bottom side as well. And Nogri, with his fleet footwork available to himself, is just hanging out, ready to help give a leash to his jungler, who will be starting topside. Mirrored starts here on the red buffs for both junglers.
Well, we'll see what Gragas can end up doing. Now, I will say that this time around, he does have the ability to go Glass Cannon. He can actually go Sorkpen Boots with Oblivion Orb and probably deal true damage to most of the targets. Well, as, we're going to have a mid lane Set. Now, Orianna is actually a rough matchup for Set. So we'll see how Roach is going to play this. He's gone Aftershock here on him. Also has Shield Bash, and now he's taking Cosmic Insight and Magical Boots. So definitely some strange runes.
Yeah, that's an odd one. See whether that means that this is going to be Roach playing more of that tank set, initiator type style. This way he can have the Aftershock when he dives himself into the backline, but you do need to build tank stats to make Aftershock really work for you now. It has been certainly changed, so it's not like the Lissandras of the world can take it so much anymore.
Do you miss Lissandra?
No.
What?
Absolutely not. I feel like she's another one of those meta checkers.
Look at the flatulence. Honestly, I mean, you have to wonder what she's ate, because it's still going. Oh, man. Now, here's a question I have for you.
Okay, go.
Is Summoner's Rift underwater? You see those
it's
bubbles?
In the sky.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. You can
No, you
see
don't.
you can see the ground in the distance.
This could be like that park that goes under. You know what I'm talking about?
So you're talking about like those
the mountain melts the ice, right?
No, but also if you've watched the Megalodon movie, you know, it's about that sub-sea, under the sea in the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Yes.
And you can't break that open, otherwise you'll get the big shark to come out.
Exactly what I'm talking about, Atlas, and I'm really glad that you're following up on it.
I watch terrible movies just so I can follow up on stuff like that, just for you.
I actually watched that in the movie theaters. I regretted it the entire time.
Yeah, that's not a great choice.
Yeah, that was definitely something.
Well, Faker,
now
able to play pretty aggressively here in this lane. Probably a large reason as to why he allocated himself up here.
A lot of damage.
He took a cheeky turret shot. I like that.
Nuggery's doing a pretty good job at keeping up in the CS department. Good spacing by Showmaker. Actually failing to really bully Roach, though. Although, Showmaker does still have 3 corrupting potions available. So, being at 55, 60% mana, as well as still having all your potions, that's probably a completely fine thing.
Super aggressive there as Nuggery has to flash to get out of the way of Faker. Really cool head here from Faker's Tristana, as both of them are going to share recall timings, but now flash available for Faker, unavailable for Nuggery. Teleport there for the Kayle, though. So assuming Nuggery can now pick up this minion wave and put his wave in a position that he wants it, possibly a slight advantage if no jungle attention is going to be given to the top lane in the next 5 minutes.
The other thing about this is Infernal Dragon's the first one of the game. It is super important to both of these teams. Obviously, Kayle.
I have a feeling Darmon's going to want it a little bit more than T1, given the fact that they want to be waiting as long as possible to win this game.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're talking about. Double AD carry certainly lends itself to having more stats.
And also, in this game, Canyon, he doesn't really have an obligation to do anything. It's mostly just to try to match and counter gank the Gragas at all points. If he can find something, it's most likely going to be through mid or bot lane. Not likely through top. And you can see Nuggery at this exact moment. He has to respect Predator Gragas because he's flashless. And so this means that he has to concede this XP, and you can just see the spacing that Faker's doing.
Is this a freeze?
Well, it is a freeze. Atlas, okay.
Do we do that in the LCK?
You see,
I thought freezes were disabled in the LCK.
This is a forbidden tactic. Okay. Now,
it's
what's
a
happening
lost
here?
style. I think it's a lost style, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a lost style.
Yeah.
You know. So, what's happening is Nuggery, due to the inability to approach the wave for fear of being collapsed on by the enemy jungler, has to sit outside the range of experience as well as be incapable of getting farm. So it's really weird how that works. It's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like an embargo.
Yeah.
So they're getting starved. But now the wave is unlocked. It's pushing back in. However, Nuggery has unlocked Super Saiyan 1.
Yep, does have the ranged form. I think I'd call it Kaioken. It's not quite Super Saiyan just
I like
yet.
that.
As the exhaust comes down on the bottom side, but we're having a look at this teleport from Showmaker moving into the top side of the map, unable to lock down Cuz in any way, shape, or form. He predated to get himself out of there. And now it's Roach that's got out of position, gets himself a huge shield, and punches Showmaker with it.
Oh!
But there's the showstopper onto Canyon. Barrel comes down. Canyon might have to tank up a turret shot, but the command attack not going to be able to kill Roach. The Q is there, but Canyon not going to suffer the Lee Syndrome and is going to get out. So close to a first blood, but so far we're neck and neck.
Yeah, and I mean, they end up making out, though, in the sense that they get 2 really key flashes, actually. And it's occurring nearing the end of the early game phase, or at least the first half of it.
Yep.
And so Dragon rotations, Herald, things of that nature, obviously something to pay attention to. Orianna, with that lost chapter, with the corrupting potions, going to be able to start expending a lot of mana. And yet again, Roach, with the Black Cleaver build, I don't know, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for him. You know, it's a strategy.
Is it a strategy?
It's a risky strategy.
Okay.
I don't actually remember the exact dodgeball quote. I'm really sorry, everyone. I've let everyone down.
It's all right.
Oh, Cuz going to go back home, see what he can build up. as he's got a lot of lanes that he can gank. Nogri's still got a minute or two on that flash before it comes available, and Showmaker as well. 3/4 of the cooldown still remain. So Faker up here, flash available, can get the flash buster shot stuff happening if he would like to.
So I want to take this moment because now we've had 3 set games, 1 Trinity Force, double Black Cleaver yet again.
Yeah.
The thing I want to talk about Black Cleaver, for people that are wondering why am I criticizing it so heavily, Set aims to deal true damage with his Haymaker inside of teamfights. Set also does not just stand there and punch one target over and over and over. And even if he can, Black Cleaver, once you get it fully stacked, 24% armor shred. So against targets that aren't building armor, let's say they have 80, 90 armor, you're only getting 19, a little bit over 20 pen, which is the equivalency of a lethality item. Whereas Trinity Force, the Spellblade proc will deal more damage than the Black Cleaver armor shred can grant you, and you'll get attack speed, and you'll get movement speed, which will help Set reposition in fights, which is what he tries to do. Because he's not just sitting there left-righting people all over. He's trying to reposition for Aziz, reposition for additional haymakers, etc.
And also, given the fact that Roach has built this more teamfighty type style, it lends itself even more to just getting the showstopper and diving on in. Now we understand why they picked this, by the way, as the barrel comes down. Great ult there from Nogri, but is it going to be enough to keep him alive? As he's just getting punted around. Faker surviving, dives on back, not enough to kill him with that last auto. He had the potion ticking, that's why we click on our potions, ladies and gentlemen. And first blood goes to Faker on the top side of the map for T1.
They ended up losing Infernal Dragon, but they're going to get a lot of acceleration on this Tristana. This is going to be a 5-plate, first turret blood Tristana. And it's Faker on Tristana, so...
That's the scary thing. We know that when Faker's in form, he's like no other player, as Effort was looking to try and mind game Nuclear there. Nuclear just doesn't press the lantern. Let's have a look at this one more time. Faker's pro view.
아우 갈만한데.
잘하고. That's a good job. At the end.
I like how he says good job instead of being terrified of the fact that that last minion auto got him down to single-digit health.
Yeah.
It was all calculated, guys. It's what happens when you're Faker level.
Now Barrel looking to do a lantern play here. Kenny and Effort both have... Oh, man.
Yeah, Cuz is in position, but is the counter hook going to be there? Effort flashes himself back. Bullet time comes down. Canyon gets the heal from Nuclear and survives. Nuclear picks up one of the kills. As now, that boot back from the Barrel, probably enough to secure him a double. Showmaker grabs the kill for himself, and that's a bit of a catastrophic error there on T1's side.
What a punt out of Canyon. I thought the Effort was actually just going to collide into the wall, but...
Yeah, that was actually really strange, because Canyon didn't even make it over the wall.
That was really bizarre.
I think the Barrel from Cuz, though, that just did not quite work out. Making Nuclear even closer in order to lock down the kills. That was a rocket jump. Yeah, fine, we'll see this again.
Let's look at this one more time. The spacing had to be so clean right there in order to
intentionally
get the Blitzcrank over the wall. And so just imagine the leg on that Lee Sin. He probably played soccer growing up.
Never mind, that actually wasn't some sort of error. He decided that he wanted to do that because the Q was already activated and decided to hit an early resonating strike to leave the kill available for the Aphelios. That's super clutch from Canyon. He's been playing some really clean Lee Sin so far today, continuing that in this game.
Set now has the Black Cleaver completed, Blade of the Ruined King on the Tristana. And now, at this point, we're going to enter into a little bit of a lull state as we take a look at a replay.
Yeah, something happened as Showmaker takes a lot of damage, and then he gets turned around on, and Faker, very close to falling here in the mid lane, doesn't actually. We cut the video, and as you can see, there's no one there. I thought the last tick might have been enough, but not going to happen. Thankfully, he had some lifesteal in his build at that stage, given the Blade of the Ruined King has been completed now.
And this Tristana is just shredding through turret plates, getting so much gold and amplification going into the mid-game. Roach going to come over here and actually find Nuggery.
Yeah.
And now who's going to win the fight?
Yeah, Roach gets it. Good haymaker, and that's just going to be a leash from Nuggery. Didn't have the rest of his team over there. And greedily tries to take that red before he's strong enough to fend off any opposition. Play comes in, but misses the hook. And now Effort finds himself in an odd position. The pullback after the kick comes in, and that's what was supposed to happen last time. Oh! There's the face smash. There's the showstopper from Roach. This is the team fight set that we were looking for, and already 2 kills come in for T1. The disengage now to come forward, but Faker is still going aggressive. 2 turret shots, but no one's going to turn around and try and punish him, and more turret plates going to T1.
And this is really, really, really big at this point. T1 are getting quite far ahead right now. They're up 2 and almost 1,500 gold. Tristana thinks she's going to be able to get that last plate. She will. And probably even going to be able to actually get the turret. T1's also going to be able to pick up the Mountain Dragon for themselves. And so at the end of this, they're ahead 3,000 gold. They're probably going to be...
Whoa, he's ahead by more than a BF sword over Showmaker.
Yeah, it's quite a very
Not that Showmaker would build a BF sword, but still, yeah, it is a big one.
Canyon trying to do a kick right there, but then Gragas just in the right place at the right time.
Did you watch Effort as well? He got the knock up to interrupt the safeguard that secured the first kill. Really beautiful stuff. As we've got even Drakes once again, and another Cloud Soul. Come on! We want to show a different thing for our analyst desk, LS.
It's not raining.
Yeah, that's true. It was snowing, so I guess
it was snowing.
Cloudy makes more sense.
It does make more sense. Thank you. Get with the times.
Yeah,
I mean, you're the one wearing white.
And that's true.
You know?
That's true. I guess I should understand the cloudiness and the snow. But this has been a snowless winter, dude. This is the first day of snow was yesterday, and it's February.
Yeah.
It's not fair. I'm from Australia. I don't get to see snow. I'm now in a country that gets snow. No snow. It's a disaster. It's not what I wanted.
How was your visit back to Australia?
It was great.
Was it?
It was lovely to see the family, you know.
All right.
It was a bit smoky over there.
Okay.
But otherwise, it was all right. And thankfully, none of my family were too affected by the fires. Made sure that we were certainly donating where we could to try and help the fire awareness. Feel like we've gone from catastrophe to catastrophe.
Yeah.
Traveling from Australia to here in Korea, where the coronavirus has certainly found a few targets. Doing what we can. I beg your pardon?
I believe there's 15 right now.
Yeah, I think 15 or 16, yeah, cases so far. But a lot of people being very diligent. You'll go onto the train and everyone has a face mask. So doing our very best to try and keep everyone safe.
Public metro and just people in public in general is actually... Where I'm living right now in Incheon, or Bucheon, there's actually not a lot of people when you go outside. Even the PC bongs are
it's sort of like a more
empty.
where you live type place rather than where you go. So like the amount of street life isn't necessarily as high. I'm towards the Hongdae area, so don't worry, there's everyone everywhere all the time. So the face mask a little bit more necessary in my neck of the woods. Bullet time coming in here from Teddy to clear out this minion wave, and does so very effectively. And you can see Roach on the top side. That's a big ability for one poor cannon creep, but securing them cannons, always worthy. As Faker is just putting together his checkbook, you know? His investment is certainly working out so far. As you can see, damage dealt also something that Faker's been able to take care of. And it was the early game that was a bit of a miss for Faker in Game 2. Yeah. But Game 1, he is hard carry on a champion that also scales very well. So
Tristana and MF are two of the scaling components here for T1. And then obviously Gragas, which I'm really surprised he didn't do what I mentioned, just getting the Sword Pen boots, getting the Oblivion Orb, and dealing true damage. Look at Kale's magic resistance, it's 38, so with the boots and with...
And I believe Aphelios has one of the lowest base magic resistance in the game as well, so it works very, very well against him.
Hopefully
at the
we
same
see
time,
when it pans to it.
Yep. He has a base, like, tiny number of MR. on Nuclear with the Infernum set up for himself, and that is a beautiful hook. Just from the darkness, and Faker's reign of terror continues. He's on a killing spree now, and he didn't need the kill gold. He had already racked up so many plates. He's a crockery shop, this guy. And killing the creeps and the champions, everything that can net you even more money.
And now, at this point in the game, T1, they're ahead just over 4,000 gold. All of it really on that Tristana. And so as long as they can keep Faker safe, they're likely going to be able to get the Cloud Drake. And it's going to come down to the Baron. So, Damwon, they're not out of the game yet. They're still scaling up. They're still waiting.
Faker's playing this like it's a co-op versus AI, you know, where you're just running around the map to each minion wave and destroying it. Trying to get as much money. He's speed running to like the most money possible, which I believe is a category. I remember Achilles and I came up with a new category, which is speed clearing all the turrets.
Okay.
That is now officially registered.
All right.
So I wonder whether, you know, try to get to 10,000 gold is another category in the speed running of League of Legends, which I didn't know was a thing until then, but it is.
You know what I thought of when I was in the taxi
What?
on the way over here today? I was thinking about efficiency in League, and then I thought, can you imagine if speedrunners cleared or did jungle clears?
Oh yeah, like
because
speed run like jungle, like first clears and stuff like that.
I just imagine they would take it a lot more serious than pro junglers would.
Yeah, maybe.
In terms of just raw efficiency, because one of the biggest examples of clear discrepancies actually happens on the Karthus.
Yeah.
If you're really good at him, you can clear anywhere from 259 to 305. Tends to be where it's at. If you're really bad at him, you tend to finish around 320. And that's massive when you consider it.
Yeah. I remember back to... Did you watch Stonewall videos back in the day?
No.
He was a guy that, before jungle was even really a thing, was already writing guides on how to...
Because I joined LoL in Season 4.
Yeah, so this was like Season 2 and 3 was his heyday, where he basically put out a video of how fast you could jungle on basically every champion. He had one of like jungling everything. Before like... This was at a time where it was difficult for some people to get around jungling with Warwick, you know? Because the jungle was just more difficult of a thing to do back then.
Didn't the jungle hurt?
Oh yeah, a lot.
It actually hurt, yeah.
And jungling wasn't even a thing that you necessarily had to do in like Season 1. Like jungling towards the end of Season 1 was when it was really affirmed, but the beginning it was the Wild West, man. You could do whatever the heck you wanted. And he was the guy that we'd look to, and like I think that's the closest representation of what like speed clearing the jungle was back then. Yeah. I don't know whether there's someone out there now that's sort of taking his place. I haven't seen too many Stonewall videos recently. There's a few names that have certainly been and gone here in our 10-year-old game.
I guess the other thing in this game right now is T1 are just playing really patient. This is actually this is normally the part of the game where I start talking about the forbidden F word.
Oh no.
No, not that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that one. But we're just playing ping pong, and when you're playing ping pong, you'll notice that the gold has kind of locked in terms of the gap between both teams. Obviously, T1 gets slight incremental amounts, but like for instance, Showmaker didn't need to eat this wave immediately. Yeah. Could have actually denied Faker several minions of this incoming wave. And if you do that repeatedly over and over and over, it ends up equating to a kill. Yep. But we don't have players doing that. However, because T1 are just playing ping pong with all the side lanes over and over, Kale's getting to scale, Orianna's getting to scale, and sure, T1 keeps getting resources and stuff, but they can't just up and start the Baron.
Ooh, nice safeguard there from Canyon. Doesn't even need to use a flash. The thing I do want to point out, I guess, is like a slight counterpoint, is that now T1 can do stuff like this because they have the inner turret mid taken. They can basically deny things like Raptors and Wolves over and over again. Damwon have to expend more resources on buying wards to keep this vision out of their jungle and things like that. There are certainly things that Damwon are bleeding gold, but with a composition like this, I think you might be right, given the fact that they have the Kayle, they have the Orianna and the Aphelios. Their scaling is just possibly going to be able to outweigh what are the economic losses that you'd get from handshaking a mid-game like this. We'll just see whether T1 can actually force the issue, because they do need to get to a point where they're comfortable of taking a fight before Damwon can really get that true level up, because Nogri is going to get towards Super Saiyan 2 really, really fast.
Yeah. Well, he's already actually at Super
KO
Saiyan
can,
2.
Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Super Saiyan 2 is the Cell games.
Yeah. And that's like
The best.
my favorite.
Yeah.
I liked Frieza a lot, because like that first moment where Goku hit Super Saiyan was so cool.
The 3-episode long Super Saiyan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
It was certainly a bit
Have
of
you
a
watched any
ride.
Super?
No. I sort of stopped. I watched a bit of... I watched most of Majin Buu and that sort of area, and that sort of stuff, but like sort of like left off.
Majin Buu is very cute.
Yeah,
I
liked Majin
he's
Buu.
very plumpy, fluffy, and lovely. Okay.
It was
and
just
his
when we
favorite
got to
Pokemon is
GT
Snorlax.
that I was like really confused.
Well,
I'm like,
GT is
why
not
is everyone
canon.
a monkey again and all this sort of stuff? It
Yeah,
was really strange.
let's not talk about that.
It was odd.
Leave GT out of this.
Okay. Is GT actually not canon? Agree.
It's not canon, no.
Oh, damn.
It repicks
I
up
didn't even know
at
that.
Super. Now, I'm not going to spoiler anything for you or anyone in the chat, but the writing does go off theme with what one would expect from the usual storyline of
Okay.
Goku loses, villain shows up, looks like they're going to win, Goku wins.
Oh, wow.
Goku loses, villain shows up, Goku gets stronger, Goku wins. You know how
Yeah.
they repeat that for about
Yeah.
4 sagas? Yeah.
But that's what I'm used to.
Super
you know?
finally deviates from it.
Oh, I don't want
But
that.
I'm not gonna- I'm
That's
not
not
gonna
Dragon
leave.
Ball Z.
That's,
It's a show because it's the same storyline every time, and we still want to watch it.
well... That's
Yeah,
actually
man.
so insane how true that is.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the ingenious thing that Dragon Ball Z managed
When
to do.
did animes or comics start actually having the protagonists genuinely lose?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because I'm actually personally a huge fan of heel turns.
Oh, yeah.
Or face turns. Like, do you follow The Walking Dead?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not The Walking Dead anymore, it's the Negan show.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But he was just such a good character that they had to change it up, you know?
his turn to anti-hero is all that I'm watching it for now.
Yeah,
Literally.
Actually, I'm
Just like
What am I
Vegeta,
at?
actually.
I think I'm at the end of like season 8, and
Oh, so you
haven't
don't know
started
about
season
his
9
turn yet?
No, I knew it was going to happen
okay.
based on like the fact that he was incarcerated for like an entire season.
Yeah,
Like,
so...
they were obviously keeping him on the back burner for something.
yeah.
I don't know whether we're spoiling too much here.
No, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one of the best actors.
He's a Tekken character, dude.
He's
It's so cool.
awesome. You know what else is awesome? This game, Alice, which we had to take a brief pause from in order to relax.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
From
is
all
this,
the goodness.
Wait, hang on. Is this the lull state, or is this the pog state?
I don't even know.
I don't remember. We had to explain what the pog state was, and now I'm even less sure about what the pog state even is.
Well, by playing ping pong over and over and over, the gold gap has extended 1,000 gold over several minutes, so...
Yeah, I mean, this is what T1 had set themselves up for, right? Like, they can dictate the pace of this game, and what Damwon have to do is say that hopefully we can avoid action long enough for Kayle, Orianna, and Aphelios to be able to just be better champions. But, look, we're not there yet. And we'll see whether we ever get there. Because T1 are getting to the point where they can pretty comfortably just smack down the Baron.
You know the SpongeBob, a few moments later?
Yes.
Yeah,
Few
that's...
moments later.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
one?
good. This is really good. So freezing...
So wait, we need to do that right now? We'll be back in a minute, guys.
Yeah, I think
We're just going to skip forward reality.
Yeah, we're gonna pause for a little bit.
If only we could somehow.
Not a SPO TV pause. We're not doing one of those again, Atlas.
Toilet issue?
No, the one where I had to leave.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
the lights.
Yeah. No, that was a Kesper pause. That's not a I mean, we were at the SPO TV next on Arena.
Pause, yeah.
Yeah, but it is still a pause. It's not the kind of pause that you want. Roach leading on XP at the moment, alongside his fellow solo laner in Faker. Both of them hitting that level 16 mark. Faker's able to draw a lot of beads.
Yeah.
A lot of his ability to draw them is very, very strong. For those playing at home, that is.
Nuguri is about
extended range
to ascend, and there it is. That's Super Saiyan 2. You can actually tell by the glowingness. That's the electricity.
Yeah, because it can't be Super Saiyan 3, can it? Because, like,
no, she
doesn't get longer hair.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll make a skin. I think that you just gave them a great idea.
Yeah, there we go. But it is pretty perfect for Super Saiyan 2 because you get more of those extra electricities.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here's a question. What if LOL... No, they can't do that. I was going to say, what if they increase the level cap? There's a way to balance things. They add one extra... No, that's just way too chaotic.
That seems crazy.
Yeah.
As Epic going to take a bit of damage there. Damwon hot on the heels of T1, but you can see they're not super happy yet to try and take a fight, unless Showmaker can line up a free shockwave onto everyone, which I doubt he's going to get given the opportunity to. Roach is going that tank set that we were talking about. Chicago's Stone Plate is completed now as well. So he can just press that R button and have, you know, a lot of extra resistances with his Aftershock.
So we're gonna get one team fight, and I don't know how you feel about that, but you let me know. How do you feel?
Well, actually pretty good. I'm glad that I got to have a bit of a break because that last like 5-6 minute team fight was
not
enough.
like this.
As in goes effort to die.
And now Damwon gonna go over to Baron
and take it for free. Unless T1 can win a 4 versus 5, or Cuz can steal this one out of the way, not able to. That's a free Baron going to Damwon. So maybe we don't even get a team fight. That'd be sad.
Well, okay, so if you're T1, do you even take Cloud Drake right now?
I mean, yeah, because then he can run fast.
I think it's actually really, I think this is genuinely...
Oh, then you give an opportunity for Elder faster. Yeah. Okay.
So this is a really bizarre spot where I think you have to not take it intentionally to deny the Elder spawn. This is something I used to talk about last year, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
Intentionally not taking dragons or waiting until 29:30. And that is actually what's going to end up happening.
And I actually like it even more now because you can extend it really, really far. We can possibly have an Elder Drake. If Damwon now take these off cooldown, the Elder Drake is at least 10 minutes into the future.
Oh, wait. Well, longer than that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. At least 15 minutes. Sorry.
So that is an unholy amount of time to have to wait. And so Damwon, I mean, the gold score...
Teddy's almost Flame Horizon the clock.
But that's fine.
It's not bad.
Let's take a look at this really quick. So, effort goes in, and software malfunction.
Well, Nuclear just like... I'm not... So, you know there are moments and you can explain in the replay what they were trying to do? We know that Effort was trying to land a hook onto the Aphelios. But beyond that, yeah, that was never going to really happen, was it? Because they didn't even have vision in that area, like at all.
But also, this is now the spot where things get really awkward. It's all range champions. This is Set's worst nightmare to try to jump into. No one has bonus health, realistically. Everyone can kite away from you. Everyone has repositioning tools. Everyone has movement speed. Set sucks for this exact reason when he gets drafted against in this way, and this is where I've been a really big critic about blue side Set picks super early on. I have no problem with him coming in on B4, B5 inside of the draft, but when you B1 him, and then something like this ends up happening, it definitely can start to highlight some of his weaknesses, but also show you, well, you can just recalibrate your draft and adjust it and then sort of invalidate one of their champions. It's another thing that, you know, on the podcast that we have going on, I talked about.
Yeah, this is a perfect highlight of exactly what you were talking about on the podcast, of Set just not having enough modes to validate his B1 priority pick.
Yeah. And unless he's severely overtuned, because sometimes that does exist.
Yeah.
Sometimes a champion only has one mode, but
they
they're
do it
overtuned.
so well, right? Yeah.
They're so overtuned that it just doesn't matter.
Well, T1 had a pretty linear gold expansion, as you saw during their denial of the jungle camps and the incredible amount of inaction that was happening. They still have that 4,000 gold lead. So that's the Vigil that flies down. Gravitum, of course, meaning that a lot of CC is available, and Teddy had to use his Mercurial Scimitar. But otherwise not going to find too much as Damwon now, they're getting aggressive. The hook is going to come in, Cuz body slams out of the way. As Roach wants to try and stop Noggery, but he can't do it. Super Saiyan 2, too strong. And they have to just watch this in a turret fall. Damwon, it feels like things have turned for the more established roster. Yes, T1 retained their bottom side of the map and mid, but this is still Cousin Roach trying to feel things out and trying to get used to this roster on the main stage. And it may take a few weeks before that one is entirely shored up. But Fat Lady has not started warming up her vocal cords as of yet. And we still have a 4,000 gold lead for T1.
Gragas has the Oblivion Orb, by the way, heading towards, I'm assuming, Morello. And so, with the Philios, I assume that he's going to end up picking up Bloodthirster. Kayle obviously has her heal. She has quite a bit of AP coming in, also has the Gunblade. I mean, at this point, when you're starved economically as a jungler, and you already have the Oblivion Orb because it's actually so valuable due to the lack of magic resistance on the enemy team, I mean, I'm going to actually go ahead here. I'm going to give him a pass. Okay?
All right.
That is a Morello Okeakov.
Whew.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd see today. You've done it before that one time, but I like to try and forget it because it's not on brand. Noggery looks like he's going for the ultimate greed max damage build, looking for Rabbidan's Death Cap into Void Staff most likely. We'll see whether he does commit to it. I like it personally because it means that even the ultimate is just going to proc the massive damage. And then you can do some really interesting things. Do you remember the Kai'Sa comp, of course, you know, where you dive yourself into the backline. This is something that Damwon was very, very good at with Nuclear on the sort of suicide Kai'Sa into the back. Because Aphelios, with his short-range weaponry, does have opportunities to play really up close and personal for maximum deeps. You just put an ult on him and keep him alive for a really long time. You can be that bomb that we were looking at. Yeah. As now T1 will lock down the Dragon Soul.
Actually really risky now, though. This is a little bit peculiar, especially because it's not going to line up with Baron respawn, so it's not like there's a guillotine.
But if they can win this team fight, it certainly will be good news for them, and T1 now have the Dragon Soul to help them out.
Oh!
There's the Gravitum. It's going to get a snare onto the set, but he's not exactly the target they want. Two-man Shockwave into the backside, but Roach is so strong. The Aphelios immediately gets rid of Faker, and now Beryl lands a hook from beyond the grave. Canyon gets the kickback, but Roach uses it as a taxi. Teddy has taken down the Thresh, but can they actually find the team fight because Nuclear is so damn strong? Not going to have him just yet. Has himself the Severum now, cycling it back and forth. Not exactly a lot of range, but the DPS that these weapons have from Nuclear is really high.
The minions are going to die, so it looked like T1 was actually thinking, we're going to get the inhibitor turret at the very least, but you can see the problem T1 are going to have in teamfight. Set does not have a target that he can obviously go on. Let's take a look at it one more time. I mean, Aphelios doesn't get the most insane ultimate. Set ends up getting hooked up. Beryl looks like he's just going to die. Canyon kicks Faker into the team. Roach goes into Damwon, and then Kayle says, hey, what's up? And then Set has to run for the hills, ults Canyon back into the team, and now he's done. He is completely out of this fight. He can press Q and E however long he wants, but his job is just completely over. He's invalidated as a champion. And then they had to run for the hills, and now Damwon, they have the Baron.
And they're starting to get towards the point of no return for T1. These items are stacking like you would not believe. Looks like Noggery is going to forego the Void Staff. Wants to get towards his Zhonya's Hourglass instead, just to give himself even more invulnerability.
And, you know, I talked about this in the draft, that Damwon, if it reached this stage of, or not even this stage, I mean, it's been this way for about 12, 13 minutes. It becomes so impossible for T1 to do anything. This is a game where Tristana had how many plates? 9?
Yeah.
10?
Many
maybe?
plates.
And She had a kill on her as well. She had everything that you could dream of. All of the lanes were basically completely fine. Your Gragas wasn't able to do true damage. You had a 6,000 gold lead in the mid game, and you can't do anything with it. And even Damwon was actually fumbling the mid game, not freezing side lanes and denying XP and stuff like that. And the game just gravitates towards this stage, and we're seeing yet another draft issue highlighted now. In game number 2, T1 had so much better patience.
Not going to be enough. Canyon going to survive. That is a full round of spells, but Faker did not invest the Ignite. Might have actually been a kill if that was there, but hindsight 2020 and all that. Command Protect would have had a pretty short cooldown at this stage of the game. Double Bloodthirsters for both 80 carries of T1. Mercurial Scimitar completed for Teddy, very close to more of Malmortius' 6th item. And damage dealt now. It's Nuclear that's finally able to eclipse this squad. Having a redeeming performance here on the Aphelios. He was a bit forgettable in game 1 on the pick, but now maximum gold bounty. Hasn't died so far this game and even has a GA in case anyone from T1 gets their hands on him.
This is a really, really dangerous situation if you're a T1 fan. And like I was saying, in game number 2, T1, they remain calm and patient, and eventually Damwon entered into them. This time, it's a lot more difficult. Nuguri's on a range champion.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to go in first, so they don't sort of have...
Even, like, Nuguri actually has no ways to, you know, use his kit to, like, int really aggressively, and also only has things into his kit that allow him to survive for longer. So, it's sort of like the opposite of what Set does. Almost the perfect pickup for Nuguri. I know, no Klepto available here, so it's not the classic Klepto Nuguri Kale. It's still the closest thing we can do.
One of the other things that I'm wondering right now is if T1 actually acknowledged, like, hey, we're not going to win this game, we need to just get Elder and flip.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that could be one of the potential thought processes. Oh, man. It just feels really...
Well, that'll kill the minion wave. Teddy will have that one available quite soon as he goes back to base to finish his more of Malmortius. He's the last one that has a huge gold bounty on T1's side, so keeping him alive will certainly be a priority in the coming fight. But Canyon, I can feel the target that Teddy has on his back from this guy. Canyon has been so accurate in his insect plays.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, what feels so bad about this, Atlas, is regardless of if T1 win this or not, through outplaying Damwon inside of a team fight,
or out-rotating them towards an inhibitor.
Yeah, or just out-macroing them, it doesn't change the state of the game or the position that they're currently in. And we spent probably 20 minutes talking about this in the podcast.
Yeah.
And it just, I hope it's really not a foreshadowing of what's to come for the rest of Spring Split, because in the podcast I talked about this very thing plaguing this team.
We haven't seen the adaptation on the drafts that we were asking for during the POG state, but we do have many, many weeks to go. Okay, that's the ultimate. That's going to start things off here. Effort taking a lot of damage. Q is going to register. Possible taxi into the back line, but that is going to be the disengage, getting Nuguri out of the fight, and the ultimate now on cooldown. Great Buster shot there from Faker. No! The hook back onto Beryl, not the target that they're looking for, but is going to be the first kill there for Teddy as Canyon goes down to his GA, and Roach is just tanking up damage in the backline. There's the bullet time, but interrupted immediately with the shockwave, and now Teddy having to get himself out. But still, a T1 team fight win. They lost no one, but 2 on Damwon's side.
And they're going to end up getting the
How
Elder
are they
Dragon.
doing this?
They're out-muscling Damwon in fights that should be truthfully impossible to win when you consider the level of players.
Damn.
That
this is actually something that we were talking about that could be a detriment for a team like T1. You know, if you can, you know, opt into a draft like this and still win, then that's when the complacency starts setting in, you know. This is where the danger that we were referring to could potentially happen. But damn, dude, it is cool watching T1 navigate around hard mode team fights in the late game.
And you know, the invert is also applicable. And what if you're Dom1 here and you think that you're losing because you fell behind early, or you attribute it to things that aren't really what is causing you to lose. Now, they get the Baron, and it wasn't immediately off of a reset, so they're going to lose some time recalling. We take a look at how this fight transpires. Now, the KO ultimate, obviously being cast early, Beryl walking way too far forward, ends up getting hooked by Effort, and then the teams just get completely separated. Canyon going in solo, doing his best Leroy Nuggery impression from game number 2. And Roach, you can see that he wasn't really able to do anything, but because the teammates were separated.
And that's the difference between a team fight where Canyon kicks one of the 80 carries and a team fight where he accidentally kicks Cuz instead. Because that is not the target that you want. He has his Zhonya's completed. He almost has a death cap, for goodness sake, on this Gragas, who's going to be doing a lot of damage in his own right. And now we've got double 6-item 80 carry for T1, which is utterly terrifying. 304 for Teddy. He's been farming every minion possible so far this game. Over 500 as we crest the 44-minute mark. And now the siege is on with Elder Drake available and Dragon Soul. Everything T1 could ever want to help win this one.
They have to be so careful. Gunblade active, actually utilized right there by Nuggery.
They can't do this. There's just no way for them to even get to these siege minions.
It's Baron Elder. You can have any team comp. You can have Teemo right now, and he would still probably be a menace. So they need to just give up.
Sorry, Teemo is always a menace, by the way.
What?
He's always a menace.
Get out.
No matter what.
Teemo,
whether he's on your team, on the enemy team, no matter what he's doing, he's always a menace. Whether he's a relevant menace in the game, strategically, is the different story.
There's no team in Teemo. You realize that?
Wait a sec. Yeah, you're right.
There is actually no team
you can't
in Teemo.
spell it unless you spell it wrong.
There is a me.
Yeah.
There
is me. Me too. Me too. We have both. Actually, no, there's not, because there's no double O. And you're going to spell 2 correctly, aren't you?
Teemo spells it like that.
Does it?
Yeah, that's Yordle.
Okay.
That's Yordle for you.
Well, T1, they're getting themselves towards the last remaining inhibitor. And Dam1 doing their very best to wait this one out. Elder Drake has dissipated. Now would be
this
a time
is a fair fight now,
where Dam1 can actually try and get in, but T1, they recognize that they just need to follow a whole bunch of super creeps towards Nexus turrets and utilize the 6th man in order to get themselves the victory. I like them opting out of a straight-up front-to-back face-to-face team fight. As they go home, we've got Effort. He's the only one that doesn't... Oh, no, apart from Roach as well. Neither the top lane or the support have their flashes, but good God, Teddy does a lot of damage. That red buff did not stand a chance. As T1, the Sharks are now circling Dam1's base. There's double super creeps per wave. Taxi their way forward. Waves in decent spots here, as Dam1 do have to deal with this mid lane wave first. And as top and bot crash, should be a moment for T1 to just break down the front door. Try and take some Nexus turrets with their exorbitant amount of turret damage. But it's not over until it's over. Faker went back, got himself his rapid fire cannon, even more range for the level 18 Tristana is quite worrisome.
And so with all the super minions collapsing, one of the waves is obviously misaligned.
Yeah. So Showmaker just cycling his flashback available again. Try and get ready to make a play. And Dam1, they have to do something here, as Teddy all struts just to get out of the way of all of those abilities flying at him from Dam1.
Showmaker trying to clear Effort, maybe looking for a hook on him.
Yep, keep your eyes on Canyon. Doesn't find that Q. He's the one that wants to start up these fights, but Teddy says no. He's just going to try and obliterate 4 people by themselves,
and then they just
buy space. Yep, this is just game over. T1 have turned around that game 1 loss and will take the 2-1 over Dam1 in the first match of 2020 Spring LCK.
This was 2 back-to-back major upsets at the dancing point of literally the game critical point. So
but also so beautifully done. I find this like really, really hard, right? Because we've had these conversations about like draft phase not working and you should be winning fights here, but you're not. But the fact that T1 had the finesse to outthink Damwon in 2 team fights in a row to win a game at a state where they should have lost is beautiful to watch, despite the fact that it is still a little bit heartbreaking, given the fact that it is sort of instilling in them this thought of, oh, we can pick this comp into this and everything will be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, the big question for me is, imagine if the roles were reversed and this kind of skill is actually being displayed in terms of managing to dance, managing to remain patient in the face of what looks like an immovable or an unstoppable object that is just driving straight towards you, and it doesn't look like there's a clear-cut answer for you. And so it goes both ways. If you're T1, do you walk away from this thinking that the draft is okay? And then if you're Damwon, do you then walk away thinking that, oh, well, there was a problem with the draft? And that's where it starts to get really bizarre, where we talked about, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it, or does it appear broke, but it's actually not?
Yeah, or does it appear fixed, but it's actually broke? Like, it's where it's so difficult. But what's something I think everyone can agree on is it's just great to watch T1 play confident, late-game, intelligent League of Legends. And they did do that in most instances for the last 2 games. And despite it looking a little bit wonky when it came to things like draft and when they were winning and all this sort of stuff playing around compositions, this had like a few backfires. That one effort int was a huge problem. But that was one player's one mistake in Game 3 that I think was the only real blunder that T1 made in that game. Yes, it was almost a blunder that lost them the game, but still the only mistake that was made. And so you have to credit T1 on otherwise a pretty flawless game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really impressive. The game number 2 and game number 3 had extremely similar vibes to it, where they lost control of the game, the enemy team composition was online. It was clearly very scary, but all it took at the end was the Blitzcrank pull, Canyon going in while his team was separated. Some people, they might attribute it to Set. It had nothing to do with Set. Going in at the 3 champions, absolutely not. Blitzcrank dies, Canyon dies, they lose the Elder, they lose the Baron, they lose 3 inhibitors. And then, at the very end, Damwon kept trying to just posture, and then T1 said, you know what, I'll just take your Nexus.
Yeah, that last fight was actually really beautifully done from Canyon. He still had some of these beautiful moments as Faker and Showmaker having a bit of a face-off here in the mid lane, but none of them actually falling, as this moment, effort made up for that one almost game-losing play with that interrupt to lock down that first kill, and we saw Tank Set really come into his own for almost the first and only time in this game, in that particular fight. I think that was blind from effort. Well played. And this was that one moment that we were talking about. The big colossal error was made up for in the end after what was a continuation of that problem.
And this is where it really just looked like, well, this was the turning point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was where Damwon should have been able to just get themselves into a winning scenario, given the fact that they did have all of these scaling chances.
They stabilized, they brought the game back to being winnable, and then right prior to the Elder Dragon, we don't actually get it in the replay, Kale had options to just actually stay in a side lane and then join the fight later via a teleport, but didn't end up trying to play out that sequence, even though there's no realistic answer to her in a side lane. We never saw that quite be utilized, and this was the parting team fight. The Blitz hook into the Thresh Canyon, not realizing that his teammates weren't going to follow up.
Yeah. Listening in to the players here on the final push. I wish I could understand the Korean, because I wanted to hear whether they're like, no, let's just not fight, boot them away. I liked it from effort as well. He goes and gets the silence just to allow that extra couple of seconds for their 280 carries to win the team fight, and to just win the game by killing the Nexus. Sometimes you have to notice that you don't have to win a fight to win the game. and that's exactly what T1 did there towards the end. So you can see that blip of effort's error towards the 38-minute mark, but otherwise it was pretty smooth sailing, as you saw, up until 28, 30 minutes. So T1 are victorious 2-1 over